Good morning. Welcome to my garden. My husband and I have been doing this for the past 28 years. We started with nothing in the backyard. It was just a field for horses. And we've created a garden over the last 20-some years. It didn't start out this big when we first began. And this has been a work in progress for a long time. I'm sorry that my peonies are just about passing and most of the irises have already gone. And this goes on until late October with the dahlias still blooming and giving it lots of color. This is a Japanese maple my friend brought us when she moved away. She didn't want to leave it for the new owners of her house, and it has grown into this magnificent umbrella. And we put in a water feature up here with some goldfish that the egrets and the blue heron really enjoyed a lot. So we put up this fish line to keep them out of the ponds. And I like to put a few mixed planters on the porch. And about 28 years ago, I had an excavator come in and dig out these first 3 beds, which have changed over the years. And we've added trees and lots of beautiful perennials. I particularly love this rose bush that I had gotten up in Maine. The flowers look like David Austin flowers, and the aroma is breathtakingly beautiful. This is mostly a shade bed that has always been a work in progress for me because I've thought about removing it completely and having less work, but I can't do it. I like it too much. Over here is another beautiful rose bush a friend of mine gave to me. She actually dug it out from her own house to bring to my house because she knew I loved it. And she said, I never know what to get you, and you love the rose bush. And here it is blooming, and it's multicolored and beautiful. And then I have these hollyhocks that have seeded in for the last 3 years that have sort of become monster hollyhocks, and I'm very excited. They'll be blooming in about another 3 weeks. These are 2 more David Austin roses. And we have some things growing in our little vegetable garden, tomatoes and beets. And tomatoes and beets. And some annual flowers in the raised beds. So as I said, this was just an empty field when we moved here. It was a corral for horses. So it's really been a long work in progress. We've added some wonderful trees over the years. I have 3 kuzas, 2 white ones and a pink one. My pink kuza is over here, and it's in full bloom. And this is my favorite tree in the yard. It's a weeping katsura, which has been moved 4 times, and this is its new resting place. It has grown into a magnificent tree, and I feel like it's magic walking under it. Unfortunately, my grandfather's walking stick has died. It had a boar, and it's too beautiful to take down, so I leave it here for architectural interest. The Carolina silverbell, unfortunately, has finished blooming, but it was quite lovely when all the white clusters of flowers were filled from the top to the bottom. This is a full sun bed now. I lost my other two dahlia beds here and over here because it got too shady from all the big trees. This is another lovely tree. It's a Stewardia, and in another few weeks it will be loaded with beautiful white flowers with a yellow fuzzy center that's quite lovely. And the bark, as we know, is one of the features of a Stewardia. And back here, I call this the back 40, where I put badly behaved perennials, such as evening primrose, gooseneck loosestrife, some grasses. But it is a lovely area. I've just redone the bed up here by the locust tree. It was kind of a neglected bed, and I decided it was time to spruce it up a little bit. And I have a lot of things that I can put in the beds, so I've moved Ligularia into here, some Achamilla, some sedums, daylilies. This is a beautiful spirea. It's a small one, it's just a baby, called Thumbergia, and has lovely white flowers in the early spring, and it gets very full and gorgeous, and it's a great color in the shade because it's chartreuse. And the weeping Alaskan cedar is quite a nice tree. Reminds me of a old lady. I don't know why, but it just reminds me of that. Unfortunately, that gorgeous moongate is not mine. It belongs to my neighbor. They don't enjoy it nearly as much as I do, though. So the garden is a work in progress, as always. And you can see the beautiful pink kusa from here. And in another week, it'll be even more pink flowers all over it. My husband, luckily, he works out here with me a lot, and I profit from his care and love of the garden, too. He does a lot of the heavier stuff that I can't do. Oh, I can show you what the spirea looks like when it's a larger plant, the Spirea Thumbergia, because it really is lovely in a shade garden. A lot of the things that you're seeing aren't in bloom now. They're filled with daylilies all over, and they'll be another, towards the end of July, they'll be in full bloom and being very luscious. You can't appreciate this right now, but it's actually called a white forsythia, and it blooms in early spring, and the flowers are very, very fragrant. I thought it was an unusual tree. I don't know if it's rare or not, but I like it. I have several magnolias. I have two over here that have obviously finished blooming. This is another nice tree for the shade. There's several different varieties of 9-bark. I don't recall the name of this one, but this is a lovely tree in the shade too, and as you see, it's covered with white flowers. And over here is the Spirea Thumbergia that's full grown, and I have a second one on the other side. And it'll eventually have babies, and I go down underneath and I pull out the babies and make more of them because they're so pretty. And I have lots of Japanese painted fern. They're quite beautiful. Do we walk by? We walked by the peonies blooming in here, correct? Yeah. And this is the other Spirea. I think right now the best of the flowers are the peonies and the iris. It's really a shame that you didn't get to see all the great colors of the irises that I have. A few years ago, Rhode Island Monthly came through and was doing an article on iris gardening, and they came here and photographed, and it was in the magazine. The white flowers, the tall, stalky white flowers, and they are valerian, and they smell delicious too. And these are more pots that I made over here. And I love my California poppies. That's all these little orange flowers. The seeds come back every year, and they bloom the whole season of the summer. They're just lovely. And against the house there, where the trellises are, I have 3 different varieties of camellia. I do have a camellia, but that's not it, obviously. That's a clematis. And the tree right in front of you is a butterfly maple, which is quite pretty. It's been decimated by winter moths a few times, so it's still kind of not looking as gorgeous as it could be, but at least it's still alive. And this is a nice little shady spot in our garden. And I don't know if you can see these 2 cement leaves here. My wonderful son-in-law made them for me for Mother's Day. And I was so impressed. He's very thoughtful, like my thoughtful husband. Pink flowers down here are actually they're evening primrose too, and I didn't think they would be as invasive as the yellow ones. I realized that they are just as invasive, but they're pink, so I'm thrilled that they're here. This sweet gum over here, this big, big, beautiful tree. You know, you plant things and you never realize they're going to get so big, so it was kind of a surprise that it got that large. And then next to it is a Japanese willow. And this shade bed only came to be because we had a gas tank that the gas people put in the ground and dug it out to put it in, and then I had this patch of soil, so I thought, wow, another place for a bed. And I just will take you up to the side here, if you're so interested. Where I ripped out everything here last year because it wasn't growing and it looked awful, and kind of decided to do a rock bed and created this little sort of southwest motif, even though I don't have any southwest motif anywhere else, but it's okay. I like everything and I like all the colors. I never tried to make a bed in a certain color because I like all colors and I like them all mixed. Some people might think it's hodgepodgey. For me, it works out just fine. Well, I hope you enjoyed the tour. There's some nice things up here too. In the way back, there's Coetzea, which makes like this beautiful backdrop of like a curtain of pink. And I'm starting a beech hedge over here to cut so we don't look at the compressors. It's not a work of art. That's a Chamaecyparis next to another weeping Japanese maple that has grown and beautiful. This yew had been decimated by the deer, but it's coming back now, and I have help with this, and somebody's making it into sort of like a cloud bush, or a pseudo cloud bush. And you can see the Coetzea better now as you get closer to it. And I moved 2 coral bark maples over to this area. One's here and one's over there. And since they've been moved here, they've gotten huge and beautiful, and I'm very excited about them because they were kind of squashed into an area where they didn't belong. And this is what was my last big project, was in here, where we've added we took out trees, old trees, and created another beautiful garden area. Doesn't look so beautiful right now. Too bad you didn't get to see these peonies in bloom. They're gorgeous. They're interstitial peonies, and the colors were magnificent. You can sort of see a little bit of it still, but and lots of iris back there that mostly have gone. This is a southern magnolia, which is doing very well, and it's very happy and sends up flowers throughout the season. It's just setting buds right now. You can see them. This is a big bud and it opens to these beautiful white flowers that are fragrant. I like anything fragrant. This is a creeping clematis that's kind of taking over its space, and obviously lavender. And this is the Coetzea, which is just gorgeous. I love it. And this is the other coral bark maple. They both got enormous when they got moved. Traveling trees came, and they have these huge things. I don't know what you call them. And they actually bring it down and they pick up the tree, and they've dug the hole and they bring it to the hole and they pop it in. It was the most amazing thing to see. That's how they did the hollies too. The hollies we brought in, but they took them off the truck and took them onto this big traveling tree thing and put them in the ground. It's amazing. Oh yes, and the dawn redwood. I had no idea it would get to be, 50, 60 feet high. But it sure is big. And the last is the Weigela that's blooming now, which is so pretty. Well, thank you for coming. I enjoyed showing you around the gardens.